Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Burning Success. I am Joshua Northcutt, and joined with me, as always, is Kevin Success and Steve Hamlin. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Doing good. Doing good.
Doing
Another
real
good day,
good.
guys.
Can't wait to get
Yeah.
into AEW with you. It's exciting.
Yeah.
That I can see the sarcasm from here. But anyway, as Steven has said, today we are going to be changing it up a little bit, going into my favorite company's world of AEW, specifically the 2019 Double or Nothing pay-per-view. It was AEW's inaugural double pay-per-view, and it took place at the MGM Grand Arena in Las Vegas. The attendance was approximately about 11,000, and pending the buy rate, there was anywhere between 109 and 113,000. Steve had 91. So
98.
still, I mean, for 98, sorry, 98,000. But either way you go, pretty solid for a company just starting out uh, and building from there. Card was absolutely loaded, top to bottom, in my opinion. But wasting no time, gentlemen. Actually, before we go into that, Kevin, before you watched the pay-per-view, what did you know about this card, if anything?
No, I knew nothing about this card. I went into it blindly, and I'm kind of glad that I did in some ways because I think it kind of gives a more sterile approach to see how it goes and everything without any, anything that might make me want to lean one way or another before seeing it. And maybe we'll get to it a little bit more. But one thing that I did note or even mention was that it kind of makes it does make it a little challenging when you don't know what's going on ahead of time. So you don't know storylines, you don't know, me, I'm always a face guy, so I don't know who's face, who's heel. But I think it made me analyze it a little bit better. Um, so I think, yeah, that's it.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, there was really only one show before this
Ah,
that kind of helped build this company, and then they started picking guys left and right up from the indie scene, Japan and such. So
mm.
none of us really know who was going to be face and who was going to be heel until like the companies got rolling. Case in point, this night.
And that makes sense. Sure.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Steve, you want to add anything to that before we jump in?
I just thought we should mention that Kevin and I actually watched this together. The stream that we watched, we didn't get the buy-in, so the whole segment with MJF and Hangman and stuff
Mhm.
was a little confusing to just be dropped into. Um,
Yeah.
and Kevin was asking me questions, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know if there was TV at this point. I don't know.
TV came out. TV came afterwards.
Okay, so
Mm.
I was like, I don't know if they have any stories. I know they did that press conference at Daly's place or whatever.
Yeah, they basically built all storylines through the press conference. They pulled a little bit from the previous pay-per-view of All In, and then obviously came up with the idea of Double or Nothing and holding it in Vegas. But most of the storylines were built off that, and then also off BTE. So,
That's being the
but
elite.
yeah,
Mm.
for Kevin.
Kevin's a novice.
Mhm.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
That was Nicholas and Matthew's
Thank you.
YouTube show.
I see.
Yeah, so it actually kind of helped build the company. But
That's pretty cool.
yeah, so going from there, the show opened with a six-man tag of SCU versus Strong Hearts, Seema, Lindemann, and T-Hawk. Personally, for me, this is the first time I actually saw Strong Hearts outside Seema.
I was gonna say we saw
Or
Seaman.
Zema.
Mm.
Yeah, we saw him in ROH, and I also were you there for any of the Dragon Gate shows?
Did they do one in Dayton?
No, it was mainly
Nope.
Chicago, Detroit.
Yeah, I think we went to one in Detroit.
Yeah, what? But
Matt
yeah.
Seidel.
So anyway, maybe I would have to try to go back in
Yeah.
the brain and remember. But that's that's beside the point. Anyway, so I kind of knew his work, did not know the other two guys. I figure we'll start it off with the newbie Kevin and get your opinion on the match and so forth.
Yeah. So one thing I quickly noticed is one, I clearly don't know a lot of wrestling moves because there was a lot that was executed, and it was just like I can't even like absorb it because I don't know what's going on. But I mean, in a good way. Very fast paced, very very quick, a lot of spots, and I think that almost seems indicative of the maybe with either independent wrestling or with this organization. And I say that where, and I think Steve and I are going to probably bring this up a couple of times, and it's something that I'm not used to, but it's almost and I'll let him. I think he has a better terminology for it, but it's almost like both guys are ready to, ready to go, ready to go, ready to go. And I'm not used to that. I'm more used to maybe one guy kind of thinking what the next move's going to be and then execute instead of just like boom, 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 boom the whole time. So lots of spots connected. I think takes an extreme talent to do. But I think that also, like I said, that adds a lot of fast pace throughout the entire match. Interesting to start with the tag team match. But I'll say of all of the pay-per-views or all of the shows that we've covered, this is probably the best opener that in my opinion, that we've seen. But to be honest, it made it a little hard for me to kind of analyze because, like I said, it's just crazy, these moves that they're coming left and right. I think we got to see a couple of cool ones that I always like. I always like Insiguris and Hurricane Ranas. Maybe we'll talk about the finish. The finishing move was insane to me. I was not prepared for what was going on, setting up a tombstone, and then all of a sudden a guy's jumping off the top rope. That was pretty sick. Kind of went on a little bit, and at least altogether, I think there were some matches that went a little bit longer, but overall, it was pretty good. Just like I said, it was just really quick spots, and it just was hard for me to. But I liked it. I think it was pretty good. Just a little different for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that you described it best. You're used to an entertainment type style. Since they don't want to be called pro wrestling, we'll just call them the entertainment type style. And this was more indie wrestling type style.
Yes.
Very fast paced. Dragon Gate USA actually made a lot of these matches, or Dragon Gate, sorry, not USA. USA was really bad. But Dragon Gate kind of made a lot of these matches famous, quick, fast paced, and one of the first ever 5-star matches in U.S. history was done by a 6-man like this with Dragon Gate guys. So it's kind of what Dragon Gate's always been known for, is just quick, fast paced. Don't think about it. One thing also, and I'm interested to get your take on, Kevin, before we go to Steve, the 10 count instead of the 5 count with the tag teams in the ring. What's your thoughts on that?
That probably answers a lot of my questions because I could not understand why they were allowed in. So I missed that. I didn't know they had up to 10. Also something else. Yeah. And I think we can talk about that more because there's some other things that I've learned that they do that I'm not used to. Like, I guess it's discretionary for countouts outside of the rings, and maybe it was for only certain matches, whatever. But that was weird. That was some use. And I think too, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's a rope that they hold, like WWE does when they're in the corner. You have to hold that little rope. Yeah, so or AEW doesn't do that either. Okay. Something else I was trying to get used to.
Nobody does that. That's WWE
just
specific.
WWE.
Yeah, because then it keeps
it
keeps your tag partner from making tags. Because in one of the matches, I think it's the Young Bucks, the what are they called? Lucha Bros. They tag on like the opposite corner from their corner.
Yeah, that was weird.
That should have just been a tornado.
They were all over.
Anyway, I'm jumping ahead.
We'll get to that. So anyway, Steve, your thoughts, if you want to add anything, Kevin.
No, that's it. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
I think that the 6-man tag, I kind of was taking time to explain who Christopher Daniels was and Frankie Kazarian.
Nice shirt.
No, I thought that was. Oh yeah, he told you
that. Was
that.
Christopher Daniels.
Yeah, dude. He fucking loved your shirt, dude. Jesus Christ. Oh, I forgot all about that. You just brought that back. That's so funny. Man. Is Josh frozen before I go on?
For those who don't know, me and Christopher Daniels passed ways in the restroom, and I had a Christopher Daniels shirt on. So he went, nice shirt. And I marked out like a child during it, basically.
I would have too.
So I was thinking along the lines of telling Kevin who these guys were and that I'd seen SEMA and ROH. So me and him were talking a little bit throughout the match and discussing it. That these guys moved at such a pace that it really there's so much going on and it's exciting, but everything looks so choreographed,
Mhm.
and they're waiting on spots because they're like, oh, I gotta wait on whoever to do the springboard clothesline before I can hit this move. That it really it breaks up the continuity and really takes you out of the match. Not that it's not exciting, not that the matches aren't good, not
It's
that,
just different.
yeah, that the men aren't super athletic. I don't take anything from them. Um, that weird kiss spot I didn't get. I don't know if that's from another match.
Yeah, I don't know either.
So there was just a couple weird spots, but other than that, it was an exciting match, a decent opener. If it was an opener, I don't know if you count the buy-in if you were there or whatever. But
You never do.
yeah.
Mm.
So that's kind of all I had
Yeah,
to add.
I mean, I think you said it best. A decent sprint opener. It's just kind of what they do, and they introduce the fans, and also how over SCU really was. So following that, Allie joins the commentary desk, and then Brandy Rhodes arrives and introduces Awesome Kong to make the triple threat into a four-way. We get Kylie Ray versus Nyla Rose versus Dr. Britt Baker versus Awesome Kong. I remember marking out like crazy when Kong came out.
Mm.
Because in my mind, in the future, and we unfortunately did not get in AEW, was we were going to eventually get Kong versus Kong, which Kevin, I'm pretty sure you'll see her later on or saw her later on in the show. But just that kind of match is something I was looking really forward to. Awesome Kong was arguably part of the best women's match I ever saw in person, so I was always a big fan of her. Kylie Ray, I heard a lot about around that time. Didn't know much about Nyla Rose, and knew Britt Baker was going to be one of the quote unquote faces of the women division, but didn't really fully grasp how big at one point she was going to be. Kind of an okay match, nothing crazy in my opinion. Steve, do you want to go first?
Yeah, we watched it. Kong did get a huge pop. That was a pretty good surprise. Uh, Me and Kevin were talking, and we were talking about, and I hope I'm not taking anything from Kevin when I talk about us both discussing it, but it's kind of the notes that I have. We were discussing how, with not knowing who Britt Baker is, or Kylie Ray, or Rose, the only person I knew was Awesome Kong, and then they do the Fatal Four spot where somebody takes her out and she lays on the ground for a little while and stuff. It was kind of hard to follow, and it didn't really keep our interest much because it's like, I mean, what's the story? Where's this going? Is this just a whatever? The work was good. It was all solid work. It was like I said, a lot of the times it just seems like because they're not so well polished, they're always waiting on the next step. Or maybe, and I've thought about this too, because I watch so much WWE and their camera work is cut, cut, cut. I don't see WWE performers waiting. The camera cuts take you away from that, so you never see that they're so maybe live they're waiting just as long, and I'm, not up on it. So a lot of the times when these guys when men or women are waiting for spots, I get a little, I don't know, not irritated, but I want it to flow. I want everything to be, continued is the word I was looking for.
Yeah, no, I mean that makes a lot of sense, especially because I mean, like in fights, you don't see that person waiting for something to happen. It's bang, bang, bang. Basically, act first, think later. So, I mean, I totally understand where you're coming from on that. Kevin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had the exact same, and maybe it's because we were kind of discussing it, but I had the same outlook on it. And it was interesting. I guess Kylie Ray, it almost seemed like there was something emotional about her coming. Can you kind of fill us in with that?
So not so much emotional, but she ended up having a panic attack of some sorts,
Mm, okay.
and wasn't able to perform as well as she hoped when it came to the company. Like she was also going to be one of the faces of the company. They wanted her to
Yeah.
be the Bailey of the women division for AEW. One of the wrestlers actually mentioned over time with Kylie Ray that she was a better Bailey because hers was more
Mm,
real. So it was kind of that kind of mindset of things. Unfortunately, things didn't work out. Like I said, I don't know if it was the anxiety. There was other situations that may or may not have occurred that I don't want to go into because no one knows the
mhm.
truth. But that being said, they progressed from there. She went elsewhere, but
Right.
it was definitely very emotional when she came out. So
Yeah. No, it didn't seem like that, and that's awesome. Good for her. I can see that why she would be the face or something up to the level of Bailey. She definitely has a lot of charisma, and really all four women did too. So it
mhm.
kind of energized the match a little bit. Um, uh, yeah, and yeah, Steve's right. That Kong pop was pretty cool. I feel like I've seen her before. I don't
she
know. Maybe
was
we could
in
talk.
she was in WWE.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. And I think even
yeah,
yeah. Okay. Okay. I thought the finish was kind of interesting. I don't know. It was just kind of an interesting move to use with the shoulder and the knee, but yeah, I mean it was okay. Um, not to say the same thing, reiterate, but it's the same thing. It's just kind of strange to, or I don't even want to say strange, but I'm also not really used to seeing where they're setting up spots or whatever. But I think the camera work does have a lot to do with it. I think that makes sense, and I don't think I realized that. So,
yeah, and
but yeah,
also
it was an okay match. Yeah.
yeah, going back to what Steve was saying, he mentioned it perfectly. Like watching these matches, I could see not understanding the storylines because you didn't
Yeah.
watch the press conferences and you didn't watch the YouTube shows before then, not
Hmm.
knowing who's really who and what. So I totally understand that part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, but not to take
Doctor,
away from the match itself. But yeah.
yeah. So Doctor Britt Baker did defeat Kylie Ray, Nyla Rose, and Awesome Kong. Next up was probably one of my favorite matches of the night, and I'll go into it a little bit more. Jack Evans and Angelico versus the best friends of Trent and Chucky
Mhm.
T.
Yeah.
I am one of the few people I think in AEW fandom that actually loved Jack Evans and Angelico. The issue is they were good wrestlers in the ring, like very talented, very fun to watch. But when it came to like mic work and storylines, there was nothing really there.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
ended up actually leaving the company because of that.
Let me see.
So that was part of it. Thought it was a very good back and forth match. Another one of
Mhm.
those sprints, very entertaining, showing again why AEW at that time was arguably the best tag team wrestling in the world. Steve will smirk and laugh at that. So that's my opinion on the matter. The right team won. Best friends
Mhm.
defeated Jack Evans and Angelico after Strong Zero finishes it. Kevin, your thoughts?
Yeah, another. It was just like the first match where it's just like, holy cow, there's so much going on, good in a good way, in a way. So, like you said, sprint moves that I've never seen before. We're seeing flips, flats, 450 splashes, just left and right. Again, spots everywhere. I can now see that that's just how outside of WWE promotions do it. So can't fault them for that. But yeah, just not used to the whole how they do their tag matches. It was a little confusing, the in and out stuff and how you can tag in and out, the long count out. So had to get kind of used to that. Had my questions with it, whatever. The finish was crazy. Another insane set of moves that kind of fit together and then to finish. So it was a good match. Yeah. Again, it just was hard for me to follow, but it was good. So.
Steve, your thoughts on the match?
Again, it's the same thing with different guys. I mean, it's you said it was arguably the best tag wrestling in the world, and it's their first tag match, the inaugural tag match. It's decent. I don't like that they use the same finish. I mean, yes, it's a different move, same idea.
Oh,
I think that should
yeah,
have
I
been
see what you're
talked about
saying.
with the agents. They should have said.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a match in between. You guys got to change your finish. Do something else. go
Yeah.
to hit it, they slip out, come up with something else. That it's not here nor there. That's nitpicky, but that's one of the notes I did have. I gotta say that I don't understand the Dark Order coming out and debuting. I know they're trying to build up. I
Oh,
know they're trying
I
to
was
build
about
up
to go into
teams,
that.
but
yeah.
I did have a note in between here. The commentary sounds like it's not produced at all. It sounds like they're just letting JR think, and I don't know if that's a good call at his age. I don't know if that's a good call if he's been drinking. Some of his commentary, I'm not being hateful. Whatever.
Mhm.
Besides the point, but he's just some of his commentary. He's not even talking about the match. Like he's talking about the jacket somebody's wearing in the first row, and then he's talking about he messes up AEW like 3 times and calls it something else. Like I don't know.
Yeah, no, that was in the beginning. That was a lot of people's complaint about AEW is that the media or the play calling was not the best. The announcers, that's the word I was
Mhm.
looking for. Announcers weren't the best. So I totally agree with that. Like Alex Marvarez was horrible.
Oh,
Yeah,
That
he was
dude
not good. Yeah.
did nothing, and that's why
Yeah.
he got relieved for Tony Schiavone.
Good. Good.
great
Good
So
point.
call.
they
Yeah.
they have they have gotten better throughout time. So I definitely agree with you there on Steve. And as for the Dark Order,
Yeah.
everyone hated that. Everyone
Yeah. That
hated
was.
that. It was so bad, just like the creepers, and it became something great later on. But that was really 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 bad. So
Yeah.
It
I
was
forgot
definitely
about
odd.
that. Yeah, it was very odd. They were just everywhere, and yeah.
so the following match after that and the whole creeper stuff became Aja Kong versus Yuka Sasaki versus Emma Sakura versus Haruka Shida versus Riho Abe versus Ryo Mizunami. I thought it was a very, 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 very good match. I thought they delivered very well in the ring. They all had great chemistry. And it was one of those things that opened the door for me, in my opinion, of AEW, how they were going to expand and use Stardom to help also build their women division, which unfortunately later on got slowed down due to COVID. But at the time, it looked very positive build. Kevin, I'm assuming this is the first time you've seen any of these women before, and
It
probably
is.
the style. So I'm interested to hear your take.
Well, and I'll be honest, I don't think we even really watched it too much because it was just too much. I don't think so. We at this point don't have a singles match yet, and I think you had just explained a little bit ago that that's probably by design, right? I think you said that other promotion where they had, I think you said what, a six person whatever. So now
Yeah,
I'm okay, and now I'm understanding that that's what they're adopting here. Very splashy, very quick, very everything's going on. But I guess for me, again, I'm just not used to that many people in the ring. So unfortunately, we just couldn't really get through it. It was basically too many questions were coming up before we could really understand. So I can't give an honest take on it, um, unfortunately. So um, I don't know if Steve, if you went back to watch it at all, but I don't know if you want to add anything else, Josh, that we can understand more about it. Definitely up to you guys.
yeah. From my end of it, there's really not much to add. Like I said,
Yeah.
they were just kind of showing off their Stardom uh,
hmm Which is a
deal
good
or
idea.
Stardom partnership and introduce. Actually, most AEW fans probably knew who these were. I never knew who they were until I saw this, so it was kind of a new to me. The only one I knew was Aja Kong, and that's just because she's one of the biggest names in women's pro wrestling. Period. So
Yeah, and I feel like I've heard her name before too, but I could be mixing it up with the other one. So I don't
I
know.
want to say, Steve, did Aja do a little run in WWF?
Did she participate in that Mae Young Classic?
I'm not sure. I'm looking it up right now. Steve, if you want to add anything.
Kevin and I started out watching it, and we were eating La Rosa's steak hoagies and bullshitting, and
Yeah,
we were kind of
yeah.
watching it, and I'll be honest. At one point during the match, I don't know how far into it. I don't know how long the match was. I looked at Kevin and I said, "Do you want to keep watching this?" And he was like, "Not really." I said, "Good, I don't either." And we fast forward. That's not because that's because we didn't know anyone, and it kept coming back to we don't know any of these stories, and I was like, well, maybe Josh can elaborate, and you've kind of already done that and said that like there weren't stories yet. There was a press conference and a little bit of YouTube, but I feel like they really did a disservice to themselves. I mean, they had 4 hours. They could have teed up some videos and shortened a match by 2 minutes. I didn't need the third Hurricane Rana. You know, I don't need 7 Hurricane Ranas. Shorten it back. Give me a little bit of story, and everything's good. So.
Yeah, no, I would add that they definitely should have did a little more promo videos in beforehand, so you can see what's coming and who some of these people are, just in case you're new to the company. So I definitely agree there. The match ended with Shida, Riho, and Ryo defeating Kong, Yuka, and Emi Sakura. Next up, though, is the reason why we picked this match. And I know I keep starting with Kevin, so I feel bad doing it again, but I do want Kevin's thoughts specifically on this part. So Cody takes down the throne.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts? Because back then that was absolutely huge.
Yeah,
it was
I
one
could
of
tell.
those it was one of those screw Triple H, blah 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 kind of actions. But so, I've got my own opinion on that matter as well.
Yeah. So right before he even came out, I saw the throne, and I looked at Steve and I said, I don't remember. I basically asked what's the point of the throne, because I know Cody Rhodes not a king of any sort, and I didn't recognize it at the time. He said, "Well, that's Triple H's throne." I said, "Okay, that's interesting." And then I think right before he does it, Steve, I think you tell me what he's going to do. He's gonna break it or whatever. So I said, "Okay, that's interesting." So he walks down the ramp. He gets the sledgehammer, and now it's like, okay, iconic Triple H. So he does it. He hits it, and I know Steve's waiting for me to say it. The very first thing I said, Josh, was Cody Rhodes needs to get off WWE's dick. Maybe there's a reason that it was tied in, but let's move on. And this is AEW. This is your new brand. Whatever. Go do your own thing. Not make this 2-minute whole entrance and everybody watch me as I'm gonna destroy Triple H's whatever it is that had tied in with him. But that's my opinion, because looking at the reaction, apparently AEW loved it. So I don't know. Maybe again because I'm just such a WWE mark. That was my reaction.
By the time he left AEW, a lot of people were feeling that way. All the actions he did was just an attention grab kind of thing, and I get a quote unquote cheap pop from the fans, because I mean there's a lot of us who at that time did think F Triple H, think F Vince McMahon. Like I said, I mean, I went through a gap from whenever, I don't know when exactly it was. So, Steve, when was the Hell in Cell between Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt?
Probably 2019? 2000.
So right around that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So right around that time. So when all that went down, like I said, I was done with WWE. It might have been after this, so forgive me on that part of it. But it's just one of those things where a lot of us were done with it, and we wanted an alternative, and we were finally getting it. But it was one of the, if you ever actually listen to the lyrics of Cody Rhodes' songs, like intro, it's basically an F you to the McMahon family. Okay. If you ever actually listen to the words. Yeah. So
okay,
Steve.
I don't know if it's an F you to the McMahon family. I think it's more of a stab at the Flares.
You think the Flares?
Yeah, has more. I mean, it's all of them. Has more than
there's a lyric in there about that. Then also,
McMahon's
he literally says, "You can't take my last name," and WWE owned his last name. That's why he's known as Cody in the match, not Cody Rhodes.
Hey, Fucking buy
Yeah,
your
and
own last
Steve,
name back. Go by Runnels.
Well, you don't have to buy your actual last name.
No, I'm saying or go by Runnels. Either buy Rhodes.
Yeah.
That's
Which he did.
shitty. Don't get me wrong.
Once it
I don't
was
know
available.
why Vince thought like it was gonna hurt Cody. Everyone knows who he is. I don't know what the big deal there was, but I'm not defending that. I don't want anyone to think like I don't. If I were Vince, I'd have been like, let him call himself fucking Cody Rhodes Stardust. I don't care. He's wrestling in front of 8 people. Some of those indies were small.
11,000.
Fucking peanuts, dude.
Help sell out to Tokyo Dome. No big deal. Help build this company. No big deal.
Yeah.
Like if it, we'll talk
Still
about it
can't
later.
beat Roman Reigns.
Thoughts on the match.
It was 2019, by the way. The Hell in a Cell.
Okay.
Long opening. Long. How long? How long was that opening? It might still be going on. What else? The throne business. I'm sure at the time it was whatever, but I've heard Cody Rhodes in multiple interviews say that it was never attack on Triple H, and that Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Paul Levesque has been his favorite wrestler forever. That's before he went to WWE.
Which is a fact. No, and that's why a lot of us were like, okay, Cody, like he idolized Triple H.
Yeah.
He got the EVP rule because he wants to be Triple H. He wants to be his own guy.
I mean,
what's that EVP
Triple H
rule?
is winning.
EVP is executive vice president.
Oh,
it was basically like the COO and blah blah blah. So
yeah.
Anyway, sorry to cut you off, Steve. Go ahead.
No, you're good. No cutting me off. That's what this whole thing is. Kevin cracked me up because it was unprovoked when the throne thing happens, and then Kevin's just like, because I didn't tell him he was going to break it. I just said, he's like, why is there a throne there? And I said, oh, that's Triple H's throne. And he's like, why? And I'm like, just you'll see. And then he pulls out the sledgehammer, and Kevin's like, oh. He hits it, and he looks over at me, and he's dead serious. He's like, get off WWE's dick. And it was just funny to me that would, because that was unprovoked. I didn't push him into it.
Right.
I didn't say anything.
Right.
The Stardust spot, I mean, I guess get it out of the way. I guess because he's facing Gold Dust, it makes sense. But now that I've seen him use it like 3 times on these big matches, it's almost like, let it go, dude. Like you've outgrown the Stardust gimmick. No one thinks you're Stardust anymore. No one makes fun of you. Maybe in 2019 it mattered. At this point, it doesn't matter. But so there was that idea. Hey, Kevin.
I knew this was coming up.
Who's Cody Rhodes' dad?
I'm putting it by 2 weeks. Shut up. All right, Josh. Let me preface this.
No, Kevin. No, Kevin. Who is Cody Rhodes' dad?
I know Dustin Rhodes is his dad.
Who's Cody Rhodes' dad?
I thought that I know who is who, but literally in the match, I'm just going to be honest. What did I even say? Oh, I said, I think I asked Steve, how awkward would it be to wrestle your dad? And then he's like, what do you mean? Who's wrestling his dad? I was like, well, Cody Rhodes. And right when I said it, I'm like, oh no. I literally thought that was his dad for a second. And I know that his dad is, for one, he's not even alive anymore, right? I don't even think he's alive. I know. Look, I know he was very overweight. You know that back in the day there was a wrestler, but for whatever reason in my head, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Dad and son are wrestling together, and that's where I was like, how weird would that be? And it was what's more funny was Steve's reaction. He's just like, I don't know, but who's wrestling his dad? And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, Jesus Christ. So
well, you know what? This was fun.
Yeah, right. No, you guys continue to do this. Clearly, I can't.
So after I had to explain to Kevin that Dustin is not Cody's dad, Mind you, commentaries, we got the volume up. Commentary's been going on about how they're brothers and that
right.
the
Brothers,
rivalry
yes.
started
Even
33
even
years
the
ago.
promo.
Yeah, and the
Years
promo.
ago, yeah, that's what it was. Well, yeah. Oh my god.
Oh, what'd they say? Yeah.
And I think even the
goof that makes a weird smile every time he comes on TV,
the
that
announcer,
Alex
or
guy,
the commentator.
he says,
Yeah.
this is a story that's been building for 33 years, all because Cody
33
was
years.
born. I'm like, what a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
What a dumb thing to say.
Just, I didn't
Anyway,
get that
He
either.
was not good at his job.
no.
I should be that. I should be doing it. I would be equally as bad, clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was an embarrassing moment.
Are we going to talk about Dustin gigging the wrong side of his head?
And I didn't notice
Did
until
he?
he had said something.
Oh, yeah, he takes the buckle on the painted side, holds his head,
Yeah, we rewound
gets
it.
out of the ring,
Yeah,
and
we rewound it a couple times.
gives it the old non-painted side. We rewound it 3 times because Kevin didn't see it the first time, and we started talking about it, so we rewound it the second time, and then he didn't see the cuts, so we rewound it the third time. Not that big of a deal, really. I don't think in the moment it would have taken away, but 5 years later, I can bring it up.
How good are these old school guys? I'm gonna say, how good are these old school guys with blading? Like, it's just it's different, and I get they're not taught it nowadays because WWE doesn't bleed and everything else. But man, some of these dudes like Dustin, Punk, MJF, Cody was even good at it. Like, they're just they just know how to do it.
Right.
They didn't screw around, that's for sure. I mean, that was pretty brutal.
That was too much. I mean, it was borderline too much. That was like Eddie in 04. It was kind of freaking me
out.
It wasn't that bad.
You see those puddles?
Nothing is worse than Eddie 04. But when Eddie is literally bursting with blood and it's hitting the camera, that broke the Buddha scale. It should be now known as the Eddie Guerrero scale.
I thought it was. Jesus. Other than that, the match was good. It told a good story. The reason I like it, and I even told Kevin, I was like, Josh is going to get a kick out of this. That was the most WWE match on the show. Yeah. It was very much structured like a WWE match. It was very much structured like an old school match. It had the story. It had the gig. It had everything. It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Kevin, quick thoughts on the match. Since, like I said, I picked this match specifically so you could watch it.
No, it was awesome. We know that both of them are workhorses. We know that they know what they're doing in the ring. There was a lot of great moves. I do want to kind of jump towards the end, and again, that spot. I thought it was interesting that of anything to have a super bad gusher is, hitting your head on an unprotected turnbuckle. I thought maybe if he would have done that and maybe Cody would have stomped his head in a little bit more. But I don't know. It could just be one of those things where if you were to telling the story, maybe it was like a freak, like he just hit it just perfectly fine. I know we might talk about here in a second too, but it looks like too the turnbuckle still had some adding on it, which kind of took away. And I won't say against the match the fact that unfortunately he did bust open the wrong side of his head. I'm assuming because the one side was painted, which by the way, loved the half painted face. There's probably a reason for that, and a method to why he did that. With that too was the opener video before the match, which I thought was awesome too. So yeah, I won't say that take away from the match, but at an analysis standpoint, it was kind of interesting that he kind of forgot or whatever the issue was. But outside of that, it was really exciting. We got to see a couple of finishers on both sides. It was, you don't really know when the match was going to end until it ended, which is always exciting. But it's I guess it's not surprising that it went so well. I'm sure these guys wrestled each other since they were kids, and they were probably really excited to do it tonight. You can tell there was a lot of passion in it. So yeah, It was a little tad long. It was a little long, but yeah, I really did like the match, and I can see why you picked this one for me to be the theme for this pay per view.
And then I have to ask, how cheesy was that ending?
I
Uh,
and
I don't need a partner. I don't need a friend. I need my brother.
brother,
And Cody
yeah,
with his fake ass tears.
yes. The problem with that too, and sorry, Steve, if I'm stealing your thunder here, because I immediately said it, is it doesn't make sense. The match that you just had was heated. Your girlfriend was cheating. You were trying to cheat. You could argue to say you're trying to win any way you can, but there was a lot of heat and anger and more than just passion, and then to go and finish it. By the way, this guy's gushing blood for you to just then give him a hug. It didn't make sense to me. But again, maybe it's just something that I'm missing. I don't know. Um, and I
It
hope
was
that the
to set
match
it was to set up the next show. So
exactly, and that was right, exactly, and I hope that match well, or that match show went well with it too, because I'm sure they did great together. But
I don't remember that match.
mm,
So
uh,
yeah.
that's fair. Yeah.
The feel good moment was okay. I get it. I wish that Dustin would have started. You got because Cody goes to leave. He smears the blood on his chest from his brother right over the dream tattoo, which was kind of.
Mm,
I guess he thought it was going to be a big moment, but it just kind of seemed weird more than an
mm,
actual moment. And then maybe if Dustin started talking and maybe saying a goodbye, saying like, I'm retired or whatever, and then Cody comes back. You
mm,
show him on the ramp. You shoot down. Dustin's in the ring, waving, saying his goodbye. Cody looks back. Then we start seeing the emotion. Then he goes back, but he like steps out of the ring, turns around. Fuck, guys! You put a 4 hour or 3 hour and 47 minute pay per view on. You can't give Cody or Dustin 3 minutes to recoup. You gotta rush the angle.
mm.
Seemed weird. Man, I should be a fucking producer.
Yeah, that I'm gonna say I won't lie. That the way you just did it and I pictured it, that would have made a whole lot better and a whole lot
Yeah,
more sense.
yeah.
Because it did seem a little bit off to
Yeah, yeah. Um, and it was just confusing. Like me and Kevin were talking about, like I I like the brother line. I don't need a partner. I don't need a friend. I need a brother.
Yeah.
That's a good line. That's a good line delivered to a brother that has earned your respect. But you didn't finish the match like he earned your respect. You finished the match like you were gonna put him in his grave.
me.
You're covered in his blood. You're strutting ass. You're trying to walk out of the ring, and then you run back and like, I need a brother. You missed a step. There needed to be a.
Yeah.
You need to bridge that gap.
So following that match, we get a highlight of Adam Page winning the Casino Battle Royal. Leads to Bret Hart showing off the belt for the first time. MJF runs down Page, so on and so forth. Kind of a filler,
Mhm.
letdown, piss spot. However, it really never is a piss spot when MJF has the mic in his hand. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
But nothing to really drive home crazy. Just typical MJF, Adam Page promo work. Thought
Well,
it was
so
nicely done.
no, I did too, and not to. I just wanted to add that this was the first time that I've actually seen MJF do anything, and
Okay.
it was exciting. I will say, he is such a natural, and you guys know this. I was like, oh my god, this guy's so good. He does it so easily, like it's so effortlessly. He doesn't. It's like he doesn't think he knows exactly what they. I I was entertained, 100%. I could see why you guys like this guy so much. Let alone, I mean,
Yeah,
that's just
he's
my
really
point.
hard.
Yeah,
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 he's really hard to hate.
yeah.
Really hard to
Right,
hate.
right. I could tell. So much charisma. It was pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, and he's good at being a heel for sure.
Following that up, we get that AAA World Tag Team Championship match between the champions, Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, now known as Matthew and Nicholas,
Thank you.
versus the Lucha Bros of Phoenix and Pentagon. Excellent tag match. Great work by both tag teams. Really, all I can say. These These two teams, when they're in the ring together, they have some of the best chemistry in the world. If not, and I know I'm going to get thrown something at me for saying this, if not ever when it comes to tag team wrestling. I've never seen them two or them four have a bad match. So,
Yeah.
Steve, your thoughts on the match, as I know you're not a big Young Bucks fan.
Um, I will get to that. I did want to interject one thing. That whole Bret Hart, MJF, Hangman, Havoc, Jungle Boy thing, it could have been done a little bit better if they would have just had someone to produce it. MJF is carried out through the crowd or beat up through the crowd. Bret Hart, all of a sudden, he's just standing in the ring holding the title up.
That was kind of weird.
It was just a weird, and I get it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
your first pay-per-view. I don't know who's directing. I don't know who do you have producing. I don't know any of it, but just a little bit more patience, and all would have been all right. Anyway, back to the Young Bucks. Go ahead.
Well, not to interrupt, did you happen to hear Bret Hart's interview talking about that night?
No,
Mm-mm.
no.
They found out he was in Las Vegas at the hotel across the way. He was there for some kind of event or whatever. AEW went, "Hey, here's this much money. We want you to come show off our belt."
I think that's fair.
Bret Hart's response was, "What the f is AEW? Screw it. They want to pay me."
Yeah, exactly. How much money? Yep.
I don't blame you. It's a good. I wrote on there,
So-
good payday for the Hitman. That's my note.
There you go.
Yep. I mean, it probably was the way Tony throws around money.
Sure, can imagine.
Um,
All right, yeah, let's go back to that match.
okay. Well, I like the Lucha Bros. I like the Bucks. I like them together. I would say that they're in the running for best chemistry next to the Briscoes and Stina Rico and
Yes.
the Hart Foundation and the Bulldogs. And I know I'm leaving some out. The Usos and New Day had real good chemistry.
Yes.
So there's DIY and FTR. FTR and the Briscoes. I mean, it could go on. We'll go on forever. You're right. And I'm not throwing those up in your face, but it feels like we should make a point that we see those. The Lucha Bros versus the Bucks. Here's the thing. If they'd have given me a 3-minute opening, video package describing that these guys have a long history and they're fighting in AAA and there's something there. And I know they probably relied on most of their fans knowing that, but us trying to introduce Kevin to the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros, I don't think this was the match to do it. The match was good. It had good spots. The word I keep coming up with when I watch a lot of AEW, and Kevin had a little take on it too. I don't know if he remembers, and if he doesn't, I'll fill him in. But the word I come up with is artificial. It all seems so pre-planned and so nothing seems real. Nothing seems like they're trying to win. They're like, you hit a cool move. Now I hit a cool move. Now he hits a cool move. And then you come in, you hit a cool move, and then we'll all hit one more cool move, and then we'll all powder out and they'll cheer. I get it. It's fun. It's entertaining. That's not winning a match. Sometimes you gotta want it. You gotta want a little. Oh, I missed, or fight for a spot. Don't feed the guy your arm when he's trying to do a fucking whatever move. Don't pull that arm back. Make him work for it. Don't hug each other for 5 minutes and then do a Hurricane Rana. I don't want that. Kevin, do you remember what you said about it? Oh, no, you're fine. Do you remember what you said about AEW?
Yeah, I think I called it more like they were almost like they were on training wheels. But I can see, and the reason why I said that again is my perspective of that is that, like you said, here I've got to feed you my arm so that you can do this. It's almost like AEW said, here I want you to guys do these move sets, and then you follow them, execute them exactly that way. Um, but the thing of it is too is that I could still see why that kind of wrestling might be entertaining because it is huge, quick, perfectly executed spots. But I like how Steve described it. It's like if I have to feed you my arm for this move to work, we're just not. I'm just not used to that. I'm used to just kind of the struggle and I can see. I like how we also described like the work for it, the drive, whatever. It was just different for me, and that's why I kind of figured, is it like quote unquote training wheels? Is it like here I don't trust you guys to kind of come up with your own stuff. I want you to do it this way. Not saying that's what it is, but that's kind of how I perceived it. So it was just different for me. But man, there again, so many moves I've never seen before. The finish was insane too. Maybe a little bit similar to some others. Kind of a longer match, but I could see why you guys put those, or at least I don't know if you said both the tags, Young Bucks and or the Luchas, but yeah, man, they have chemistry for sure. They know exactly what now.
Yeah, this match, like when it happened, and as Steve mentioned, there is great tag teams that he ran off. But like just for me, and I guess I'm a little biased because I've now seen it in person. I was there for the ladder match, which was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I was there for the cage match, which is arguably the greatest cage match I ever seen before. Insane between these guys. They just have this chemistry that's unmatched.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's just a brother concept
Right.
that they're all. It's just wild how good
Yeah.
they are or what they are. But also, I get where you're coming from. Getting used to a different style.
Mm-hmm.
This had to be something brand new to you that
Yeah.
you're like, okay, holy cow, what is happening here?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, as Steve mentioned, a promo video would have been great.
Sure.
I do feel like that's a drop opportunity that they used for the Cody thing, which again, Cody WWE mindset, but they didn't use
True.
it for the Young Bucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Main event time: Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega. Winner will fight for the AEW Championship. This bothered me and irked me a little bit that it was like, so Adam Page had to go through 20 other guys in order to get a title shot, but Chris Jericho or Kenny Omega only have to beat one.
Mm.
At the time they explained it, I just didn't buy into it. I thought there could have been a better way of doing it. I also thought I didn't really like the one-on-one. I'm a tournament guy, as Steve knows.
Mm.
Steve, at one point, I know was a big tournament guy. I'm not sure if he still is now, but for our backyard wrestling, we were trying to throw out tournaments every month.
So much so that people would get annoyed. We'd strip people of the title just to have one.
Oh man! So loved Jericho doing all his entrances that were thrown up there through the history of Chris Jericho. Which, man, you want to talk about an all timer? Like that dude, personally for me, is the GOAT. We can go into another story about that another time. But there is no doubt about it. That man has to be on every single person's Mount Rushmore when it comes to in-ring and out-of-ring work. There isn't four better wrestlers on this planet in the history better than Chris Jericho. The match was all right. They seemed a little bit off. Their match in Japan was a lot better, in my opinion, which is the first step of how they created AEW. Actually, I know we mentioned all out, but Jericho and Kenny Omega wrestled in Japan versus each other. Tony Khan watched that match and said, "Wow, I basically need to start my own company." Sat down, had a conversation with Chris Jericho, which then turned around and followed to them getting the Bucks involved, Kenny involved, and Cody involved, and Adam Page involved. So, always thank you, Chris Jericho, in my opinion. So, Kevin, your thoughts on the match?
This was another one where it felt like WWE to me as well. It didn't feel like a bunch of spots everywhere. I liked it. It was they worked everywhere. There were a couple of interesting spots, like at the table. This is where I really started to like misunderstand the whole not the inconsistency, but the differences of how WWE executes versus AEW as far as counting outside of the ring. I think it was funny because I was literally thinking about it, and then it's like JR was listening to me because then he kind of explained it's discretionary, it's dependent on whatever the match is. I kind of like how he sold it because he said, the ref probably thinks, and I'm obviously not quoting word for word here, but the ref probably thinks this is an important match. That's why he's not counting out. I was like, okay, I guess I can buy that because I like that. Why would you want to have a count out in an important match like this? Because the two guys didn't get back in the ring, So some people might have a different take or different opinion. I was like, okay, I'll buy it. A lot of good big spots. I don't know obviously much about Omega, but man, that guy loves to wrestle. I can tell. He had a lot of energy, a lot of drive. The finish was fine. It was. I really again didn't know who was going to win this one. I love Chris Jericho's work on the mic. And one thing is that this guy just doesn't age. It seems like as far as wrestling goes, Chris Jericho was all over it. And I mean, at this point, he's close to his 50s or in his 50s, maybe in his 40s still.
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Go.
Okay. Yeah. So while you look it up, I mean, I know the guy's obviously not in his prime, and I was kind of surprised. 48.
I think he was 48.
So.
Or 43.
Yeah.
One or the other.
48.
Oh, younger. 48. Okay. You can't. If you were to ask me how old he was just by looking at him, I would have guessed maybe for earlier 40s. He looks like he's taking care of himself. I think that's important to me when you come. He does, and I'm not trying to be like, are you single? Like,
no, it just popped me because you're like, man, the guy never ages. If I had to guess his age, it'd be 44 instead of 48.
No, like earlier 40s. Basically the point is that he's closer to 50.
Between 40 and 44.
Yeah.
It got me. I don't know. It popped me. It's funny.
No, I'm probably very oversimplifying the fact that it looks, there's people that kind of just let themselves go as they age. I think he did a great job. He looks great. He was sharp. I kind of felt when the match was going to start that this probably isn't going to be very good, and I'm kind of glad that I was, was wrong because that was good.
Oh,
but yeah, I like the end. I like his mic work. He's so entertaining. He's a great heel. I kind of hope he continues to be. I liked him better as a heel than a face. Yeah, and like I said, Omega was awesome too. That was the first time I ever seen him. He had a lot of stuff going for him in the match. So that's my take.
Steve, your quick thoughts?
Fuck, Kevin gets to talk for 4 hours.
I know. I kept going. I was excited because this is a singles match. I like singles matches more than I do when there's a bunch of people in the ring. So
all right.
This was more exciting.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Quickly, just because when you gave the backstory about Tony Khan seeing these two go at it and starting the New Japan Pro Wrestling, their subscriptions jumped up astronomically when they announced Kenny Omega versus Jericho. I mean, just through the roof on the American side and in Japan. Excuse me. So I'm one of the ones. I got New Japan World because I wanted to see Jericho outside of WWE. Quick side note, I actually was going to get my receipts that said you have purchased my emails of all the 4 AEWs and the New Japan World and the All In and post them behind me because Josh acts like I fucking hate AEW and wanted to go out of business even though I bought their pay-per-views.
I don't think you hate it. I don't think you hate it. But
I'll say this: I'm a little biased towards WWE. I'll say that. That's true, but it has to do a lot with the presentation and the like. We have a 4-hour pay-per-view, and they've given us 4 minutes of video packages to explain anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then they give us that weird Bret Hart segment. Like, that went on too long. Somebody missed their cue. Probably that Havoc guy. I don't know. Nonetheless, I'm going out of my realm here. Anyway, back to Jericho versus Kenny. I bought New Japan World strictly for that match. I watched Wrestle Kingdom 12, 14, whatever it was. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I'll say it's 14.
Hey, think it was too. I think it was 14 as well. 12, I think, is when AJ debuted. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so.
Nope, you're right. 12.
Fuck. I am good. So Wrestle Kingdom happens. I'm watching the match. Alyssa, who is a wrestling fan, but admittedly mostly WWE, she watches it with me. We're in bed, and this match is happening, and she's TikToking. I don't even know if TikTok was a thing then. TikToking or whatever she's doing, Instagramming. She might have been reading, to be honest. And she looks up and she goes, "Oh my God, do they actually hate each other? Because that match is stiff. And it looks like they are fighting. It does not look like a wrestling match. It looks like Jericho is trying to blind the man and beat him senseless." And I was so excited, and I tweeted about it back when I had a tweeter. I tweeted her quote and tagged them two in it because it's like that's what you want. If I turn on a wrestling match and I show you a wrestling match and you're like, that's real. Those guys aren't faking. You've done your job and you've done it to the best of most people's abilities. So I say all that to say that this match did not hit that mark. This match was light in story. This match was, it had good work. That V-trigger in the corner, I mean, I'm all for that. V-trigger that man 12 more times. But actually, I hate when he does the V-trigger 37 times, so I take that back.
Yeah, I'm gonna say please don't give him that idea because he'll do it.
So I got a lot of notes here because I was trying to watch this match and the streaming service that we were watching it on kept crashing. So I literally had to restart the match every 5 minutes, and it was like a 36-minute match. So, the Kataru Crusher, that jump over Bulldog, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Jericho's entrance, I'm getting scatterbrained here because I'm trying to read my notes and they're all over the page, so bear with me. But okay, so Jericho's entrance, killer. The arrows told, boom, 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 showed Lionheart, and then it showed the Y2J, and then it showed the lighted jacket and the list, and it goes on, and then it becomes Painmaker. Is that his name now?
Yep.
At this point?
Yeah.
So that's cool. Kenny's entrance was kind of just plain. The package beforehand was kind of weird, where he's running up a hill and it's snowing and he's carrying a log and Jericho's training in MMA. I didn't really get all that, but the entrances were cool. The match was okay. How pissed was Jericho about that fucking Cracker Barrel? Right? I mean, he tried to get it out of the ring, and here's my point with WWE. That you would not see in a WWE ring. Not one time.
They've had a what was that blackout Mountain Dew match?
Whoa. Yeah, but that's
I kind of like that.
That's just highlighted.
That match was horrible.
That's just highlighter painter. I'm talking about a barrel being in the ring and not taken out so the match starts. You got 37 people taking pictures around the ring, and you ain't got a guy that can grab the barrel and move it. That's what I mean with give somebody a job, have them do it. Your job is to make sure that fucking barrel is out of the corner before the bell rings. Because Chris Jericho wants a hot start, and he doesn't want to come over and run into the fucking Cracker Barrel sign. Get it out of the ring. I'm Tony Khan. I'm signing your paycheck. Do your fucking job. So my future first champion, spoiler alert, future first champion doesn't have to come over and get the thing out of the ring for himself. He might quit and go back to Vince. Get your shit together. So, anyway, tangent over. All that to say that the match was mediocre in my opinion. They put the work in, but it just seemed like they were missing something. seemed like something wasn't there. I think Jericho was a little off in this match. I don't know if he was hurt. I don't know if he was tired or jet lagged, or maybe he had done a show with Fozzy across the street and he's just worn out. But he was off a little bit. Kenny was on point. Kenny did everything. He got the bloody nose from a chop. That sucked. I'd be so fucking mad. That Jericho.
Yeah, the lariat probably happened once or twice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I still owe you a couple receipts, dude. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting till you come around, dude.
What's interesting, I don't think I've ever been on the receiving end of one of those, Josh. I don't think I've ever gotten one.
Ow.
So
well, guess what's going to happen next time you see me?
That's right. Hey, long time no see.
Oh, it won't be in your chin.
So Jericho.
Yeah.
So Jericho won the match, obviously, as Steve spoiled alerted to that.
Sorry.
Summed it up perfectly. Kind of just missed the match or missed a step from the match over in Japan. And going back to that, it goes back to my comment a few shows back. We talked about that when you're friends with that guy in that ring and you can trust him with your life, literally, some of the best magic happens. Case in point, Steve, how many matches did we watch between Steen and Generico? And they just beat the living hell out of each other.
Absolutely.
It's something special when you got trust in that other guy and whatnot. So post-match, Jericho mocks and marks the crowd and says he is AEW. This is the company for him to prove his value. They got company, a TV deal, sold out of the building, and it was all due to him. Awesome. Thank you, Chris Jericho. Well, as he's doing that, the crowd erupts, and it was kind of obvious who it was going to be, but it still didn't stop the fans from losing their mind. Jon Moxley arrives. All hell breaks loose, and it ends with Moxley hitting a dirty deed, standing tall on top of a poker chip.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you as a Jon Moxley fan, and then obviously as an AEW fan, that moment is top 5 moment still nearly 5 years later. Jon Moxley coming to AEW made one of those impacts that this is real. This isn't just a best friends club where a lot of people were given the Young Bucks and Cody and Omega and Page. Oh, they're just hiring best friends and hiring their guys and this and that. This is Jon Moxley. He's not coming out in a stupid ass gas mask. We are going to get the real Jon Moxley, and there will be no excitement when it comes to that. That occurs. Go ahead, Steve. Hey, you smirked.
No, I want Kevin. I want unfiltered. I don't want any. Not that it would change his opinion, but I want Kevin to go so we can get his undiluted thoughts, and then I'll shit all over
it. Yeah. So I mean, I like Jon Moxley too. I thought it was. I get why you say that the whole gas mask and all that crap was just too much, but I will say that. I mean, it was obvious. Take out Jericho. That's fine. I'm assuming it seemed pretty clear to me, at least, that that Jericho was the heel, and that Omega was more of the face. What I really appreciated, though, is that he didn't just immediately hit Omega with the dirty deeds as well. I loved that. Because again, Omega's got that fight. You can tell right off the bat. So they have to go out in the crowd and then fight, and then they make their way up the poker chips. That's fine. So that moment clearly is important to you. What it does to me, it's I just don't have a lot of background to know or appreciate as much as you guys do. Unfortunately, though, I am not a fan whatsoever of the double arm DDT or the dirty deeds. I just when Foley did it, I only know he did it because he's an out of shape wrestler who can't lift very much. He can't do much as far as a big finishing move goes. Everything else about him is totally fine.
Take it easy.
I feel like Mox. I don't like the move at all. I think it's to me it's just a cheap version of a DDT. I have less than 10 years of experience of wrestling, so what do I know? That's just me as a fan. I just want to be honest with that. I'm not a fan of the move at all. Everything else about it was great. I'm sure you guys have a much different opinion than I do on it. I hated it when Foley hit it. I'm not a big fan of Moxley doing it, but everything else is awesome. Like I said, take out Jericho right away. Makes sense. Don't do it right away with somebody else. Make it even a bigger event to finish it off was pretty freaking awesome. And I love that the crowd was into it. So that's my 2 cents. So probably
Fair.
not. Yeah.
Fair.
Go ahead, Steve.
Okay. Where do I start? Listen, Jericho getting the heat with the crowd, perfectly fine with. Makes sense. What a shithead. What a real
Awesome. I
shithead.
know. He's so good. He's so good at it.
No, I'm talking about Josh taking his earphones off.
Oh, he didn't want to listen. Why? Don't you appreciate that he was good at it?
No,
I love that he was.
Good.
He don't want to hear my opinion. He wants everybody to just
Oh.
love John Moxley.
I see.
Cincinnati.
Oh, who gives
And that's
a
true
fuck?
too. That's pretty awesome. That's
A
cool.
bingo hall.
Yeah, no shit.
Talk about seeing him with 8 fucking people.
I was there, and I said he was a piece of shit then. I did. I was like, that dude's not going to amount to shit. And Josh is like, no, he's going to be the next. He's going to be the next whatever. And I'm like, Josh, you're so fucking out of it, dude. We argued about it for like 15 minutes. Here he is. He's AEW World Champion 3 times over. He's WWE Champion. I was wrong. Admittedly, I was wrong about Moxley. And I liked Moxley in the Shield.
Who was right? Who was right though?
You were right, Josh. I said it.
Okay.
You're not right about this debut.
I needed Go ahead.
All right. All joking aside, the debut was kind of lackluster, and here's why. John Moxley does not need to move that way. Why does he have those erratic jerks turning his head and getting up? Dude, first off, you don't look tough. It doesn't look tough. You don't look deranged. You look like you got a kink in your neck because you slept bad. And
I missed that.
Yeah, he does it the whole, like, he comes in the ring, he's got his head turned, and he's going like, he's moving his arms all weird, and it's jerky, and it's like, maybe, whatever. Maybe that's nitpicky. Maybe I'm being a baby about it.
No, I can see what you're saying, though.
But it's just, it didn't look good, and he doesn't present him. Not when he came out, I'm like, okay, I mean, I'm not scared for anybody in the ring. Yeah, it was weird. Like, I don't know who I would be scared of. I don't know who would have been a good debut. I don't know if I would have. I mean, double arm DDT, dirty deeds, everybody in the ring. The crowd's into it. Him and Kenny Omega.
I want to clarify. It's the paradigm shift. Just in case people think we're not AEW fans, it is the paradigm shift. You guys know it as dirty deeds. Right. But in AEW, it's a paradigm shift.
You're right. It is called the paradigm shift, which that paradigm shifting back to no audience pretty quickly. He's giving me
the finger.
All right.
I had an itch.
Scratch.
Hey, scratch it, brother. Scratch it good. But, damn it. Oh, I'm so excited for an AEW show. I've been waiting on this. I love it, and it's all just like I said. I've got receipts where I've paid to see it, and I record the show every week. Do I watch it? No, but I do record it, so it counts towards their ratings. I'm helping you out, dude. Yeah. No, but seriously, John Moxley showing up and them fighting up, and then he flips the. I don't know. It didn't do anything for me. I'm glad you guys liked it. Maybe that's who they're aimed towards.
Audience.
Moxley lost me, which is crazy because I was a huge fan of him in the Shield. I wanted him and Brock to be this drag out, knockout fight that ended up not being that. Blame Brock. So, but I just, and then when he released his breaking out of prison, finally out, I was hyped. We all talked about it in a group chat that we had at the time. Fucking Mox is back. It's not Dean Ambrose anymore, John Moxley. And then he goes on this death match extravaganza tour and he's stabbing his head and he loves it. That's great. It's his wrestling. I get it. Teach their own. But once that came out and once the twisty, weird, half balding man, I don't know, something about him. At one point, I was just like, this ain't it. And since then, I haven't been a big fan. I don't know why they chose him over Punk in certain aspects. I don't know if Tony Khan just loves the man. I don't know. Maybe he sells a lot of shirts. Maybe. I don't know if he's a draw or not, but they've made the man champ. He's the only man to be champion 3 times. 2 times even, right?
3.
So, yeah, but I mean, there's never been another 2-time champion, has there?
Punk.
Oh, yeah, technically. So, I don't know. And I knew it was coming. I knew the debut. I remember when it happened. And there's the shot of him doing the whatever on the poker chip. And, I don't know. Like I said, I was so hyped for him when he dropped the Mox promo and it breaking out and he's running, he's hopping fences and dogs are chasing him. And I'm like, oh shit. Business is about to pick up. And then it just fell stale for me. And that's not here nor there, but it's my honest opinion. And other than that, I think AEW is great. I think they're fantastic. I think it's top of the line. Why are you rolling your eyes, dude?
I'm not. I don't know what you're talking about.
Golly. No. But so that's the only thing I didn't like about it is that it didn't feel like, I don't know, to me it didn't feel like anybody was in jeopardy. Even when, I mean, you barely got over on a half-dead Kenny Omega who's been bleeding from his brain for an hour. Come on, you got to agree that. I think he should have just...
No, I agree.
All right. Well, now I'll stop my tangent and let Josh take us out here and tell us why AEW is the best.
In my opinion, it is my favorite. I'm not saying it's the best because like you said, there's things that WWE does that's better. There's things that AEW does better. We've gone on about it before. I'm very concerned about AEW in the future. I hope I'm wrong, but I do have a lot of fear that 5 years from now there may not be another AEW. And to say that not having AEW is good for the wrestling business is completely wrong. Correct. Monopoly is never good.
Agreed. Competition's always good.
But before we do sign off, I do want to throw it back to Kevin. All around, Kevin, it seemed like you were a little overwhelmed with everything that was kind of happening. But I think if you had to give a grade, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Sorry, you keep going. Sorry.
So overall, what grade would you give it, and your final thoughts?
I think it's fair that to say yes, I was a little overwhelmed. I think it's a perfect way to say it, and it's because it's just a brand new experience, and they didn't hold back here. The demographic wasn't too, or they weren't targeting for a demographic to replicate WWE. Why would you want to do that? You want to do something that's different, or you have a different way of doing things, and maybe it's more that WWE is the one that's more different because, like you guys are saying, promotions have similar wrestling styles. So, I still honestly. Just real quick, I do think overall almost 4 hours is too long. I think some of the matches were a little too long, not enough promos. But I can't really say that the wrestling itself, it's to give it a grade, I would give it a B-. I think it might not be fair though. That's my perspective as a WWE wrestler. I think AEW fans trying to be unbiased might give it a better grade. I just not what I'm used to. So but I was definitely entertained, and I even said that when we were watching it. There were just some things that didn't really make sense to me, just because they were different. So yeah, that's my take.
Can't really hate on that. Steve, any final thoughts before signing off?
I would just to be clear, I would give this show a C plus because throughout it, I kept asking Kevin, the only man who would have a different view. Because if I ask you, hey Josh, watching this, would you ever buy another AEW pay per view? Coming from the guy decked out in AEW, has paid to go to shows and buys chairs and all the stuff that we've talked about, you're going to.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from me, who's a diehard forever wrestling fan, and CM Punk came back, I bought the pay-per-views. Hangman Page versus, oh shit, I don't even know who it was at the time now. MJF, I think. I bought the pay-per-view. That has since dwindled, which is crazy because they have Edge and Christian at the time, and I thought that I was like, well, I'm in. I've wanted to see Edge and Christian for years. I ended up not buying the pay-per-view. So I asked Kevin, mid of the card, hey, do you think you would buy or watch more? And he's like, yeah, I would. And now towards the end here, he is saying it's a B or a B. Did you say B plus?
No, B minus.
B minus. Sorry, B minus. Mm-hmm. And so he's obviously more interested. We're obviously going to watch more on this podcast. And if something happens in the next couple of weeks and they put you're going to Revolution. So if they put a crazy match card on, maybe we all get together and we watch one. I'm not opposed to spending money on AEW. I'm not opposed. If they had a house show or a good, Dynamite or something come here. I don't know if they do house shows anymore, but if they have a Dynamite or something come here, I wouldn't mind going to an AEW if I knew the card was decent, or I'll go watch some wrestling. We could all do that. I don't want them to go out of business. I want them to get better so that more people want to watch. And I need Tony Khan to tighten up and start booking some good stories and not worry about these dream matches. Because dream matches only sell so much. There's only so many people that dream about wrestling. So, I just wanted to make that clear that this is a C plus. It probably would have ventured into B if they'd have given me 2 or 3 more promos, 2 or 3 more. They could have had 2 guys come out and start talking before the match. Obviously in their gear, you send out the Young Bucks and they start running down the Lucha Bros. We've beat you guys here. We've beat you guys there. We'll beat you in a ladder match. We'll beat you in a stretcher match. We'll beat you 1, 2, 3. We'll beat you in Iron Mans. We do whatever we want. We're the Young Bucks. Lucha Bros come out and he does the Viva La Raza or whatever it is. I don't know what his sign is. I don't know the name of it. I can't remember how it goes.
Oh, that was interesting. Yeah.
Isn't
that
an actual gang sign?
Zero. It's basically zero fear.
Right.
It's zero miedo. Yeah,
right.
Zero miedo.
Right. And that I love. I love when he does it. He sometimes does it 17 times, and he should cut it down to 4. But that's my opinion. I like it. I like the Lucha Bros. So if they give me a little bit more of that, I could probably get in the B minus range, but they didn't. So anyway, I just want to clarify, Josh, that I don't hate AEW. I don't want them to go out of business. I don't want everyone to work for WWE. And I don't want you to stop doing our podcast because I shit on John Moxley.
Well, too bad I quit.
Yeah.
Close to keeping it.
You were saying it's right.
As always, gentlemen, I really enjoyed this, and I do look forward to maybe talking more AEW. But
Absolutely.
For now, if Kevin doesn't have an idea, I'll throw it Steve's way. Kevin, do you have a favorite WrestleMania in mind of your head?
It would have to be one of the ones with Undertaker, either Triple H or Shawn Michaels. I don't know why it just always sticks to me, like the later ones. Pick one of the matches. You want the Triple H one or you want the HBK one?
Well, there's 3 Triple H ones.
I know there's 3 of those, and is there only one Shawn Michaels?
2.
There is 2. One of them was a retirement match, wasn't it?
17, 25, 26, 27, and 28.
It's just insane. Maybe it's better you throw it at him because he knows more.
No.
Yeah.
No, I was just giving you your options so you could think about it.
Well. But then there's some other ones
Do
too.
you want to know the main events?
Yeah, I just know where you want to show off. Yeah, what are the main events? Let's see. What do you remember?
At 17, that's
Well, that's a historic one.
That's oh shit. Wait, 17?
It's historic.
Isn't 17 Rock Austin?
No. No, that's 19. It's 19, 15, and
19.
no, there's 3 of them. 17 is Rock and Austin. You're right. Yes, 17 is Rock and Austin because 19 is when Austin retires. So 17 is Rock and Austin. That's the main event, and 25 has got to be Cena versus somebody.
Well, I like the sorry, not the older. I like the more recent Triple H or Shawn Michaels and Undertaker.
I don't know. That 17 match is pretty good.
But maybe we should do that then, because I like Austin and Rock. So
Wait, didn't we?
that would be awesome.
No, we did WrestleMania 15.
Yeah, because I don't remember. Was that an Austin Rock too? You said?
Yeah, 15, 17, and 19.
We should do 17.
17's okay. Shawn Michaels isn't back by then. So,
we'll figure it out. We got a little time now. I tried to put Kevin on the spot, and he failed me. So,
all right,
and for once, somebody else gets put on that spot.
All right, let's do this. Kevin knows his options now. So, Kevin, the first number that pops in your head, that's the one we're doing. It doesn't matter what it is, new, old, whatever the first one that pop in your head is.
17 still pops into my head, so.
All right, we'll do WrestleMania 17.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, gentlemen. So next time we talk, will be WrestleMania season. However, we'll be talking Elimination Chamber. We also will potentially be having a guest also added to this trio, which I'm interested to see how that works. But all in all, I enjoyed this as always, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Yes, definitely. This was fun. Good call on the AEW. Hope to see more.
Definitely will.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
All right, John.
Thank you,
all
sir.
Right.
See y'all later.
Adios.